JHK here for Sportskeeda, and right now I'm joined by UFC featherweight Sean Woodson, the sniper. What's going on, Sean? It's been a while.
Yeah, man, it's been a nice little minute. Nice to talk to you. Everything's great. How you doing?
Good, man. Let's jump right into last November, man. You were supposed to step in against Jonathan Pierce. You didn't make it to fight week. I believe you sustained a rib injury very close to the fight. What exactly happened?
Yeah, it was shaping up to be one of the best camps I've ever had. I was feeling great in great shape, and it was the last hard day of training. We were just about to taper things off and stop going live, and last hard day of training, and one of the last hard rounds of the day. And yeah, in a grappling transition, I turned the wrong way and sustained a rib injury, and yeah, was forced to pull out of the fight. It killed me, man. I was excited to get back in there and get back in the win column, but yeah, I just had to pull out.
Yeah, the rib injury is something that is painful, man. Everybody that has suffered any kind of rib injury knows that it takes some time. You just have to rest, basically. How,
Yeah.
how did you handle it, man? How did you recover?
Yeah, well, so like for rib injury, there's nothing they can do. You can't like put it in a cast or really do anything. You just got to rest. And yeah, it sucked because coming off my last fight, I right after my last fight, I told my manager right away. I'm like, man, I want to get back in there ASAP. I don't want to take time. I want to get back in there. And yeah, he got me a pretty quick turnaround for November, and I was excited to get in there. And then yeah, rib injury happened, and I had all that time to just sit and recover from the rib injury while also, thinking about, my last loss and wanting to get in there really bad. And yeah, it just sucked, man. I was just so ready to get back in there, and I couldn't believe that happened.
Did you at least get to enjoy Thanksgiving? Because I know that was right before Thanksgiving.
I mean, I didn't really enjoy it. Like, it just wasn't the same,
Yeah.
man. I was able to eat what I wanted and stuff, but yeah, it just wasn't the same. I still was locked in and just focused on the day that I can get back in that cage and redeem myself.
Yeah, when you're, like you said, locked in, mentally you're ready to beat the hell out of another human being and you're not there and you're stuck at home, the frustration levels could be very high. But I'm pretty sure your family was there supporting you through this time, right?
Yeah, 100%. I got a lot of positive people around me, and yeah, they were telling me good things. But I mean, man, I still just like the way my mind works. I'm just so obsessed over this fight game, man. It's ridiculous, and yeah, I just couldn't help but just I tried, not to be too hard on myself about it, but yeah, I was just really focused and locked in on. I just could not stop thinking about getting back in that cage.
For sure. Well, let's go back to the fight, man. In I believe that was about a year ago versus Julia Rosa. You suffered
Yep.
your first professional loss. Take us to the weeks following that fight, and how did you handle the first setback?
Yeah. Well, right away, I was like I said, I was on my manager to give me a quick turnaround. Some guys I've seen they take losses and they're like, okay, we got to take some time to uh fix some holes in our game and take some time, mentally be ready. But right away, I wanted to get back in there. I don't feel like it was a skill issue, like holes I needed to button up. I took that fight on about 2.5 weeks notice, and I just, halfway through the first round, I was gassed out, and I feel like that submission, I wouldn't have got caught in that if I wasn't as tired as I was. I would have been, more sharper, more on point, and just wouldn't have let him snatch my neck up like that. But yeah, after the following weeks after that fight, I just was, man, it's hard to explain. I feel like I'm saying the same thing, but I was just so focused on getting back in that cage. It's so focused on I just really want to prove that I belong there, prove that that wasn't the real me out there that night. And but I didn't let it get the best of me. It's not like I was depressed or really down on myself or nothing like that. I do a really good job of only focusing on what I can control. And I just, instead of, moping and, crying and whining about it, I just was solely focused. I just knew, I kept telling myself, I know for 100% fact, I will get my another fight. I will get my day to do something about it and to redeem myself. And yeah, I was just focused on the day where I can actually do something about it.
Yeah, that day's coming up. And a lot of people after a loss, they'll nitpick. You know what I mean? Like they'll look at you and say, he should have done this, he should have done that. But really, what you're saying is that you don't dwell on it too much. You don't let that affect you, and you just move on. And that's good to hear, man, because sometimes it does play in your mind, no matter what. You know what I mean? Anything that in life, it's not just about fighting.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I actually took some positives from that fight. Like I said, I took it on 2.5 weeks notice. I was nowhere near the shape I'm usually in. That was like kind of like at the beginning of that whole COVID thing, and just training was real weird. We were having to sneak and train, and I wasn't able to train like I normally do. And I felt like I was going into that fight at like 20 to 30% of myself, but even at that, my opponent was super experienced. Had like 30 something pro fights, but yeah, what I took from that fight was, man, even in the shape I'm in, like I still had that fight won. And I remember thinking like halfway through the first round, I'm like, man, I'm gassed as can be right now. I'm like, but I belong here. Like as crazy as it sounds, like coming off a loss, I really took from that fight that like I'm right where I belong.
For sure, man. And then, now you get rebooked June 6th. You're facing Youssef Zalal. Was he someone that you were familiar with even before signing the contract?
Yeah, I'm very familiar with him. I actually went out to Colorado to Factory X for like a week. This was prior to me getting into the UFC. This was at the time when I was 5-0, I believe. And yeah, I trained out there for a week. It was great training, and yeah, that's a gym that like I have a lot of respect for. Factory X, Coach Mark Montoya, James Krause, who's my head coach for a while. I trained out there at Glory. They're really tight together, and yeah, I knew him from them. And yeah, I've known about him for a while.
Did you train with him over at Factory X?
No, we didn't do any one-on-one training. He taught a kickboxing class I went to, and yeah, no, we didn't spar or anything like that. But yeah, I'm very familiar with their system, and well, I mean, not to say it in a way like like I'm very familiar with their system, like like I know exactly what he's gonna do or anything like that. But it's a respected gym. It's one of the best gyms in the world. I'm very familiar with him.
Oh, definitely, man. We know what you mean. And it's weird how everything works out. You just said that you went to a kickboxing class, and now you have to fight the guy that was teaching the class.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's crazy the way MMA works, man. It's crazy.
All right, well, Zalal, he's 3-2 in the UFC, man. He's fought a lot since he's joined the promotion last year. Can you break him down? What type of fighter do you see?
Yeah, I mean, he's good. He's good, no doubt. He started off 3-0, I believe, and I know he's dropped his last two, but I know if not one of them, if not both of them, I believe are on short notice, and he lost to two really tough guys. So I don't give him any slack for losing those fights. I don't, I'm not taking him as a chump or anything like that. Like I know he's the real deal, and I know he's well-rounded. I think he prefers to strike. I know he's a brown belt jiu-jitsu, so he can grapple, and this is a really good fight to show where my skill set's at.
Yeah, I believe both of those fights were on short notice himself. You know what I mean, with Zalal. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I know one of them he took on like a week's notice, and the other one, I believe he may have had a full camp for it, but his opponent fell out, and it was a last minute opponent switch like my last fight was, and so yeah, I don't knock him for those losses.
Yeah, man. It's a wild world right now, man, with these short notice fights. And do you look at that, from your experience of the last fight as maybe I shouldn't take these short notice fights? Maybe I should just get something booked and focus on that fight and have a good camp for it.
I mean, yeah, I do definitely prefer a full camp. I was super fortunate to have this is a 12-week camp. I was so happy that I got a full camp for this. But yeah, that last one, they just caught me slipping, man. Like that's what I really take from it is I'm down for a short notice fight if I'm in shape. You know what I'm saying? Prior to me taking that last short notice fight, I hadn't fought for like 8 months, I believe, and I just don't like turning down fights, and even though I knew I wasn't in shape, really good shape, I didn't want to pass up on that opportunity because I didn't know when the next one would come. But yeah, I just learned from that they're not gonna catch me slipping again. I'm gonna stay in shape and stay ready to even jump on a short notice fight if that's what they offer me.
Yeah, that's the crazy game the fighters have to play right now, right? Man, do I take this opportunity or do I wait for a full camp for my opportunity? It's just, You know, I guess you got to take your risk, you know, because you got to get paid at the end of the day.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's on me. That was on, that was totally on me for, not being in shape. But, yeah, it isn't really an option for me. If they offer me something, I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna take it.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I noticed that you've done most of your camp or all of your camp at Wolf's Den, your original spot. Is that true?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. I've done this camp back at Wolves Den. Yeah, man. The training at Glory MMA is great. Kraus is one of the best minds in the world. Still my boy. And I'm definitely still, like, even after this fight, I got all the intention on going back out there and doing more training with those guys. Just with this opponent, and like James Krause and Youssef Zalal, they both share the same head coach. So that's really training right there right now isn't an option. But yeah, I decided to come back home and do my camp here at home. I love my city. I love my setup I have here at home, and I feel like that just really works best for me.
Everything's revolved around you.
Yeah.
Mostly, right?
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, I just got a system here that just really, like, I have my own chiropractor here. I have my a strength and conditioning coach that I really, really enjoy working with. And yeah, Wolves Den Training Center, it's we don't have any well-known, fighters other than myself, but it's just a group of, passionate people who are hard workers and love the sport just like I do, And yeah, my nutritionist here, my chiropractor, my strength and conditioning coach, my, family and friends. Like, I feel like I operate. A happy fighter is a dangerous fighter. You know what I'm saying? And I know everybody, is big on, you got to go out of your comfort zone. Well, I feel like it's an either or type thing. Some guys have to go out of their comfort zone in order for them to perform at their best and, really grow. But I'm out of my comfort zone all the time when I'm grappling with these guys who are way better grapplers than me. I'm a striker at heart, but I go into these jiu-jitsu gyms around here all the time, and am out of my comfort zone there, and there's plenty of room for me to still grow here, and yeah, it just works out better for me here.
Yeah, there's a lot of killers out there that nobody knows about that train all the time, that help fighters with their camps, but they don't fight. And they're legit guys. They're all over the place. I don't think people realize that.
Yeah. A lot of people just, they want to tie, like, you gotta, they want to tie one of these big organizations to their name. Like, if you're not training with guys that are in other big organizations, then, you don't have good quality training. There's tons of great quality training from, unknown guys. You know what I'm saying? My head coach is a black belt. Legitimate black belt. One of my best friends is a brown belt that I train with often. We have, tons of other purple belts and brown belts. I get a lot of good work here.
For sure, man, for sure. And like you said, a happy fighter is a dangerous fighter. Zalal, man, he's gone to the judges in all 5 of his UFC fights. Do you see the same thing happening in this one? How do you see this fight ending up?
I don't see this one going to the judge, to be honest. And I know a lot of fighters say that, but the reason I say that for this one is because, me and this guy. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. I messed up something here. Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see.
Oh, yeah, we're good.
All right.
Yeah, okay, my bad. Yeah. I know a lot of guys always say, the fight won't go to the judges, but I really don't feel like this one will, because both of us, our backs are against the wall here, and I feel like that's when guys that'll bring out the best in guys. You know what I'm saying? We're both trying to make a statement and prove that we belong here, and I think that'll make for a really exciting fight.
No doubt, man. And just something about the featherweight division. They have the tough season coming up with Volkanovski and Ortega. Those guys are about to fight. Are you a guy that was a fan of The Ultimate Fighter, or was that something that you didn't really pay attention to too much?
Oh no, yeah, that's what got me. That's pretty much what got me in MMA. I was seeing that first Ultimate Fighter with Forrest Griffin and Stephen Bonner. Yeah. I remember tuning into that live, like, halfway through the first round when that was going down, and just I couldn't believe what I was watching. Like, I've always been a huge fan of boxing. Watched boxing all my life, loved boxing, and that was the first time I seen MMA, like those guys in the cage with them little gloves, and they were going at it. And yeah, when I remember seeing that, and I was like, that's what I want to do. I'm like, I want to do that right there. And yeah, I've been a huge fan of the sport ever since. I've seen all the Ultimate Fighters and pretty much every UFC that's ever been on TV.
Were you training at that time when you watched the first Ultimate Fighter?
I wasn't training MMA. I was boxing, though.
Okay. So you transitioned. Yeah. How long did it take you to transition after that?
So I started boxing when I was 8 years old, and I didn't start doing MMA until I was probably 17, I believe. I'd gotten into a real bad car accident on the highway, and I couldn't travel back and forth to my boxing gym anymore. And Matt Hughes' hit squad was here, and they had dorm rooms that I could go live at. And so yeah, I started doing MMA when I was probably 17.
So you started at Matt Humes' gym. I didn't know that.
Matt Hughes' gym, yeah, I started at Matt Hughes when I was 17. Yeah, I had an extensive amateur boxing background. 17 years old, I went out there with my mom and a couple other family members, and we were just asking questions, checking it out. I didn't have any gear on me at the time, nothing. And yeah, after we told them about my boxing background, they were like, well, they're about to spar here in a few minutes if you want to jump in. They had a mouthpiece for me. I went to, they had a kitchen there. I boiled up the mouthpiece, and they gave me some boxing gloves and stuff, and I sparred with a bunch of guys, and they said I had a lot of potential, and it went really well. And yeah, that was the first gym I went to. I was training at this place, and all I knew how to do was box, and I was getting thrown in with Matt Hughes, Robbie Lawler, Neil Magny, Dustin Jacoby, and yeah, I just knew how to box. And I remember there's a little 125er at the time, and they were like, go with him, and I'm like, and at this time I was 200 pounds. And dude, this little 125er got me on the ground, and I could not do anything. I couldn't get up from underneath him. He was rolling me up in a pretzel, and I was like, this is crazy. I